Hello everybody and welcome back to the show. We made it to episode 2 and today I'm talking about the winter arc, or what I would like to call the WABD, the winter arc by design. So everyone online, it seems, has been obsessed since October came and summer has well and truly left, especially in the UK. Everyone's been talking about the winter arc, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's between October and I'd say January, February time, where people lock in and really focus on their goals and cast away everything else that isn't conducive to us reaching these goals. It's essentially a time for pure focus, and it kind of makes sense. The days are shorter, it's darker, it's colder, it's more grueling, and that kind of atmosphere, that kind of environment does give way for us to feel like we need to struggle. The struggle is almost natural. There's a natural environment to struggle, especially when contrasted to spring and summer, where people are outside more, people are more sociable, people are going on holiday, and it's not necessarily as easy to stick to the goals that we set ourselves. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. I alluded a little bit in the last episode that the winter arc, or the idea of starting things in general, it's really seductive, but I think that we might be doing it for the wrong reasons, which is number one. And the other thing is, what does our winter arc consist of, and is it conducive to the way that we want to be, or are we just following a trend? So those are the two kind of questions that I'm going to be thinking about. I don't really have the answers. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of a winter arc. I must have started and restarted 75 Hard probably about 15 times in the past 5 years or so since I first heard it. I think the furthest I've got to on that is maybe day 21. I would like to complete it. I'm not doing it right now, although I'm probably doing some kind of derivative of it, but that's besides the point. So when this comes out yesterday, I have written and published on my Substack a really short article, quite punchy, called "You're Too Obsessed with Your Next." And the idea is that we're all obsessed with who we can be at the end of the project. I got this idea from Grace Beverley, actually, and she spoke, it was at the start of a reel, and I didn't watch the rest of it, but the hook really got me thinking, and I came off it because I had to write it down, and if I didn't write it down then I'd forget. She said something along the lines of, we don't fall in love with the project, we fall in love with the person that will be at the end of it. And I think that's really true, and I think that's part of the reason why we're very good at starting things and not necessarily finishing them. We can set these lofty goals. For me, and what I've already described, okay, I'm going to go 75 days doing the 2 workouts every day, 1 outside. They've got to be 3 hours apart, each at least 45 minutes in duration, no alcohol, sticking to a diet the whole time, reading 10 pages, I can't actually remember, and a gallon of water, or roughly 4 litres in the UK. And yeah, I'm going to stick to that for 75 days. And, you know, I go ahead and I maybe stick to like the first week and it's fine. And then I can't stick to it beyond that because something comes up, or, you know, you make excuses, or you try to negotiate with yourself. And, you know, I succumb to that all the time, and it's difficult. And I think it's because part of it is that we are falling in love with the person that we're going to be at the end of it. But when we realize that the distance between where we are now and where we want to be is further than we thought, we actually think it's not worth it. And then we give up earlier, only to start again once the dopamine is sufficient to motivate us to want to go towards that again. And I think that's part of the problem. And the way that I'm writing about it is that we need to try to be more in love with the process of becoming, rather than the person that we think we're going to become towards the end. So even though fads and these projects and these programs are really seductive, the reason that they're seductive is because they promise a frictionless route to get to where we want to be. They promise a frictionless route to fulfill our desire. And actually, as a little tidbit into the article I wrote, I essentially likened these fads or these projects that we set ourselves up to. They're very similar to a gentleman's club or a cocktail bar or not a cocktail bar, a champagne bar, sorry, where you're promised the fulfillment of the desires that you have, but they never deliver completely to fulfill you or to fulfill that desire. And with these projects and with this winter arc, we are succumbing to the desire, or we're trying to fulfill the desire of becoming a person. And we do think that it's going to be pretty frictionless, because we think that signing up to this project is going to get us there. But the signing up doesn't do anything. It's the doing it that gets us there. And if you don't fall in love with doing it, then you're never going to finish it, or you'll just be bashing your head against the wall constantly. And don't get me wrong, I think there's a time and place for just gritting your teeth and getting through it. And you don't necessarily need to love it, but it's unsustainable to be doing that and to just be miserable all the time. And what's really interesting, I think, I read, like so many other people, I read The Courage to Be Disliked twice or three times this year. And even though there's nuance to it and it's not as simple as the way I'm about to make it sound, happiness is just a choice that we can make at any one time. There's a great quote. I can't remember who said it. It might have been Chris Williamson or someone on Rogan. I can't remember. And they said, there's 8 billion people in the world, and there's no reason that at any moment you can't be the happiest person. And of course, tragedies happen, life happens, legs get broken, whatever happens. But the way that we see that, the way that we view it, can be, you can view something, and this has happened, you hear it all the time. I think I heard about someone who lost both their legs, and they decided around that moment, this can either be the worst thing that happened to me or the best thing that happened to me, and they've gone on to have a great career doing what they're doing. And my life hasn't been without adverse circumstances, and at the time it's very easy to take on a victim mindset, and I think I'm trying to do that less. I'm trying to get rid of that and try to see things as it's a choice. It can either be the worst thing that ever happened to you or the best thing. And if you choose for it to be the best thing, but it's objectively bad or negative, and you choose for it to be the best thing, i.e. that it makes you happy, then there's no reason for you to not be happy the rest of the time. If objectively the worst thing that can happen to someone makes you happy, or if you can be grateful for it, or if you can see it as the best thing that ever happened to you, when you're just having your average day, there's no reason for you to be happy. And another thing that I've been thinking about is that on a day-to-day basis, especially in the UK, it's become commonplace for the most minor inconvenience to completely ruin someone's day. I'll always remember going to the post office, and for some reason, some woman didn't put the right stamp on or something. For whatever reason, she couldn't deliver the package that she wanted to send, and it completely ruined her day. And it was in the morning. Completely ruined her day. Now, obviously, I don't know the circumstances of her life. She could have been having a really, really terrible day anyway, but we've all been there where there's a minor inconvenience and it just sets us off for the rest of the day, and all of a sudden everything is going wrong. And I think it's our mindset that actually puts us there. And when we consider that if the most minor inconvenience can ruin our day, why can't the most minor positive thing make our day? And then it sets us on a really good trajectory for the rest of the day. If getting stuck in traffic for an extra half an hour or 20 minutes or whatever can completely ruin our day, why can't waking up 10, 20 minutes earlier and enjoying a coffee with a friend or family member, why can that not make your day for the rest of the day? I really do think that happiness is a choice that we actively choose to reject all the time. And part of the reason that we reject it, to get back to the winter arc, is because we place a lot of our happiness on the person that we're going to be, I think. We say, once we've achieved this thing, that's when I'll be happy. I will have done a sufficient amount, or I will be the person who can then be happy with things. And we're postponing happiness. We're postponing it. And the interesting thing about the future is that it never arrives. Tomorrow never arrives. So if we're always postponing happiness to the future or to tomorrow, then we're never going to be happy. You can just choose to be happy right now. And I said in the last episode that I don't think that means that we should be without desire. And I don't think that means that we should be without goals and aspirations. But those goals and aspirations should be the compass that directs us in the present to where it is that we need to be. And the happiness needs to be in the striving and the doing of the thing. Happiness can be a verb in that way. And I mention it in the article. Go read it and subscribe, please. In his Oscars acceptance speech, Matthew McConaughey spoke about how he's chasing himself in 10 years. That's his hero. He's chasing himself in 10 years. And I really like that. And it might seem like he's postponing happiness for the future, but he has a key sentence in his speech where he says, and I know I'll never get there, and that's just fine with me. So he's content in himself to always be chasing, to essentially always be on that hamster wheel. He's enjoying the process, and he knows that he'll never reach where he wants to get to, and he's absolutely fine with that. And I think that's the balance that we can try to strike, where we're always striving towards something, but not at the expense of where it is that we're at right now, and to be happy when we're striving and not be miserable in doing so. I.e., we don't postpone happiness. We are very happy right now. And it's not a case of we'll be happier once we arrive. It's a case that we're happy in trying to get there. We're happy in the journey. So really, it's all ancient Buddhist wisdom that desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. And you can edit that slightly and just be happy in the present, but also direct yourself using where you want to be in the future. It's pure direction. It's a pure compass. And on this, the really interesting thing is that we know all of this already. I'm not saying anything new. If you're listening to this, you probably heard this stuff already. But I think, and I've definitely been guilty of this, I think we're very quick to think that we are the exception. There are so many stories of millionaires, billionaires, successful people, wealthy people, famous people who are just depressed. You know, there are so many examples of that. Yet in modern society, I think that's what a lot of people strive for, one of those things. Or even having a Hollywood body, whatever that is, right? And that's not to say that these things won't make you happy, or striving to get there won't make you happy. But it's unlikely, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. Otherwise, anyone who's got money and anyone who has got the body that you want, or anyone who's got the success or the fame that you want, they'd all be happy, but a lot of them aren't. There's a really interesting statistic that suicide rates go up when people have gastric band surgery or something along those lines. Don't quote me on that. But it's essentially because binge eating can be seen as a comfort to alleviate the pains that people feel in life. And if someone doesn't do the work to lose weight and just decides to get gastric band surgery, then they immediately get the result of physically not being able to eat more, but without the mental shift of not wanting to eat more. So the desire to binge eat to alleviate stress is still there, and there's no outlet for that stress. So it's just interesting. You can't shortcut your way to become the person. You need to go through the becoming to become whatever person it is that you want to be. And I think we all know that intrinsically, yet we delude ourselves into thinking that we're the exception a lot of the time, in spite of all the evidence to say that it's not an exception, it's a rule. And then the final part of it is that a lot of people, I think Gordon Ramsay says something like this, a lot of the advice that people give about life is being able to dance in the rain. And I think that's really cool. And I don't know if I've heard this or if I came up with it last night. Maybe Churchill said it. There's a whole thing talking about how if, like Churchill, a lot of quotes just get ascribed to Churchill. I doubt he said this though. And it's the idea that why do we dance? If there's a dance floor there, why is it that we dance? And it's not to transport ourselves from one place to the other, unless you're moonwalking maybe. It's to just enjoy the moment. There's no intrinsic value behind dancing. So why do we do it? And it is just to enjoy the moment and to embrace the moment. And there's no reason why we can't treat the things that we do in a similar way on a daily basis. Dancing is fun. It's a way to connect with people. It's very human. It's almost primal. And you have a good time while doing it. And we can consider things that we do in life as a dance, where you may not be the best dancer. It may not be perfect. I've been laughed at when I danced before, but you have a good time. It's all fun. Everyone is dancing and everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's in the same place. And there's no value behind it. You're just doing it to enjoy the moment. And I think that we can take a bit of that into our lives on a daily basis and just think that we can just enjoy the small moments. We certainly let the small negative moments ruin our day. Why can't we let the small positive moments, no matter how small they are, make our day? So there's that. And then in terms of talking about the second part, the winter arc itself and what it consists of. So I have a notebook that I use every day, and I might put this on my Instagram at the end of the month actually. I just tick off the different tasks that I do on a daily basis. And right now there's train, because I'm trying to get massive over my winter arc. Read, but that kind of gets done anyway, because I just find moments to read all the time. What else is there? Embarrassment. So do something that embarrasses you every day. I have done that twice, and it's only the 4th of October, so it's not too bad. But I think getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, especially for me, I think I care way too much, or I have cared way too much about what other people might think, even though no one is thinking those things, because it's quite entitled to think that people are thinking about you all the time, but we're at the center of our own universes, so it's difficult. So if I can do something that embarrasses me all the time or every day, not in like any negative way, not that affects anyone else, but just something where I might pause for thought and think, how are people going to react to this, and do it anyway, then that friction of doing those things and doing things that I want to do just lessens. And eventually, I've been doing that for the past few months actually, and the results have really surprised me. People definitely aren't thinking about me as much as I thought, as much as my brain led me to think that they were, which actually isn't surprising. But people have actually been really positively responsive and been saying nice things. So I'd love to do more of that, basically. What else? I need to turn my book around here. Drink a gallon of water. This is from 75 Hard. No one drinks enough water, so I just want to drink more. Be outside for 45 minutes. The reason for this is twofold, because my job as a designer, I'm looking at a screen most of the time, especially if I'm working from home. So sometimes I'll go days without going outside, and that is absolutely ridiculous. But also, because as it's becoming the winter, it is a high friction activity. No one wants to go outside when it's wet, windy, raining, all the rest of it, especially in the UK. But if I can just say, right, it's something that I'm going to do every day and just stick to it, then you never go outside for a walk and come back thinking I should not have done that. And also I get a lot of ideas, and as I'm creating a podcast and creating more content, hopefully, I need more ideas. And also my work, my job is quite creative. So coming up with new ideas is really important for that. And going for a walk really helps that, whether listening to a podcast or just raw dogging it. Another one, the power list. This is also from 75 Hard, as was the being outside for 45 minutes. And the power list is probably the single thing that has made me more productive. Every morning, write down 5 things that you want to achieve. They need to be atomic, incompressible things. So it can't be something like ideate, script, record, edit, and post a reel. That can't be one line. That's 5 different things. So atomic is boiling it down to its most basic. It can't be boiled down anymore. So you need to do 5 of those different things. So train is one of them, right? Usually for me on every day. And tick them off as you go through. And it just means that it's just a list. It's 5 things, maximum 5 things. And they need to move the needle. Whatever needle it is that you're trying to move, each of the 5 things need to move the needle. And if you do that, and you stack those days up, then you'll be flying. Andy Frisella, who made 75 Hard, talks about writing an L over it all if you fail to achieve all 5, or a W if you make it. And honestly, I think I've had 1 W in the past 4 weeks or so, but I'm still way further ahead than when I wasn't doing this, because a 3 out of 5 is better than a 0. And it's just really impressive. I found it really impressive what I can get done in a day when I have this list and when I'm focused. So I'd really recommend the power list. Out of all of these, I'd really recommend the power list. No alcohol, just something I'm kind of testing out. It's not really a reason to have it. I've kind of been turned off a little bit by drinking recently. And there's also so many options to do the sociable, celebratory thing without alcohol now. 0 alcohol beers, 0 alcohol everything nowadays. Also, I'm Gen Z and we're doing, what are they called? Soft clubbing or something like that, where we're going clubbing at coffee shops in the morning. I'm actually here for it, but that's just what I'm on at the minute. No alcohol. And then write 1,000 words every day. I got this from another creator, Mia McGrath. She talks about finance and fashion and some personal development stuff there as well. She's really cool. And she spoke about writing 1,000 words a day is a really good habit to get into. And as I'm writing more on Substack, writing more content and podcasting, it's become really important. It can be little micro notes as well on Threads or Blue Sky or X, whatever it is that you're using. But I like to write more long form. And also writing 1,000 words a day. It's not necessarily with the intention of publishing, even though I'd recommend publishing work, but it's also a really good way to organize thoughts and to actually figure out what it is that you're thinking. Can't remember who said it, but there is someone who speaks about writing not to tell other people what you think, but to figure out what it is that you're thinking. And I think that's so true. It's a really good way of organizing thoughts. And that's why in this episode, I've been referring to the article that I wrote last week, but it was published yesterday because this is going out on Wednesday. So that's my winter arc for now. The way that I've organized it is I've got a double page spread for each month. So each month I can change what my tasks are. But, this is kind of a survival of the fittest. The ones that I gain the most from just stay, and I just iterate month on month. And that's a good way I'd recommend doing a winter arc, actually. October, November, December, January. So 5 months is quite a long time to stick to the same things. It's kind of like training in the gym. If you don't shake it up every now and again and give your body new things, then you might get bored. You might just, your motivation might just dissolve. So it's fun to keep iterating and to just keep the things at the core which you really enjoy, because it's all about being happy in the process, as I've already said. If you want, I might make a list of the things that I'm doing for my winter arc on socials. If you'd be interested in that, let me know. But other than that, I really appreciate you for listening. Again, if you enjoyed it, if you found it funny, if you found it entertaining or helpful in any kind of way, I'd really appreciate you sharing this with someone who you think would find this useful or entertaining or funny. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all of the things, and I will see you for the next one. Appreciate it.